The Forgotten Planet, the great hall of the Galaxy Council, stretched for miles. Thousands of alien delegates filled the massive chamber. Their voices echoed like thunder as they argued about the future of the galaxy. Ambassador Zektar from the Reptilian Empire slammed his clawed hand on the table. "The Outer Rim planets belong to us. We claimed them first." "No," screamed the insect-like Queen Vixra. "Those worlds have resources we need for our hives." In the center of all this chaos sat the council leader, an ancient being called Elder Morthal. His 6 eyes glowed with annoyance as he watched the aliens fight. This meeting had been going on for 3 days. Nothing was getting solved. "Silence!" Elder Morthal's voice boomed through the hall. All the aliens stopped talking and looked at him. "We will vote on each planet one by one. But first, let me check if everyone is here." He pulled up a holographic list. Thousands of species names appeared in the air. Green check marks appeared next to most names, but there was one name that made him pause. "Strange," he muttered. "Earth. Still not here." The alien next to him, a blue-skinned humanoid called Secretary Veldan, leaned over. "Sir, Earth has never attended any meeting. Not once in 200 years. Elder Morthal's eyes narrowed. "Never? Not a single meeting?" "No, sir. We sent the invitation to their solar system 200 years ago, but we never got a reply. Most of us think they're either dead or still too primitive to understand space travel." A few aliens nearby started laughing. "Earth!" chuckled a fat blob-like creature. "I heard they still use chemical rockets. How pathetic." "They probably killed themselves in some primitive war," added a tall, skinny alien with 4 arms. "These young species always do that." Elder Morthal nodded slowly. "Very well. Mark Earth as absent again." He waved his hand and a dusty nameplate reading Earth faded to gray on the holographic display. The meeting continued. The aliens made big decisions about trade routes, military zones, and resource mining. They divided up entire solar systems like pieces of cake. No one cared about the empty Earth chair, but far away, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, something was watching. Deep in Earth's solar system, hidden behind the asteroid belt, massive space stations floated in the darkness. They were completely invisible to alien senses. Inside these stations, thousands of humans worked quietly at computer screens. Commander Sarah Chen stared at the live feed from the Galaxy Council meeting. She had been watching these aliens argue for hours. Her team of translators worked around her, converting every alien language into English in real time. "Same old nonsense," she muttered. "They're dividing up the Kepler system again. That's the 3rd time this year." Lieutenant Jake Morrison looked up from his station. "Ma'am, the Reptilian Empire just claimed 12 more planets. They're forcing the local populations to work as slaves." Commander Chen's jaw tightened. "And the Council does nothing, just like always." For 200 years, humanity had been watching the Galaxy Council. They had learned every alien language, studied every species, and recorded every meeting. Earth's government had made a smart choice long ago: stay hidden, watch, and learn. What they learned made them angry. The Galaxy Council was supposed to keep peace and fairness across the galaxy. But instead it was run by bullies. Big, powerful alien empires crushed smaller species and stole their resources. The council leaders were corrupt. They took bribes and looked the other way when crimes happened. "Lieutenant Morrison," Commander Chen said quietly, "send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the vegan system situation just got worse. The council voted to let the reptilians take it by force." "Yes, ma'am." "Should I also mention the refugee crisis in Sector 7? "Yes, and the slave trading in the Altair system, and the genocide cover-up in the Rigel cluster." Commander Chen's voice was cold with anger. "Add it all to the list." The list was very long. 200 years of crimes, corruption, and cruelty. All recorded, all documented, all waiting for the right moment. Lieutenant Morrison finished typing and looked at his commander. "Ma'am, when do you think we'll finally act?" Commander Chen smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had been patient for a very long time. "Soon, Lieutenant. Very soon." She turned back to the screen showing the Galaxy Council. The aliens were still arguing about who got which planets. They had no idea that human eyes were watching them. They had no idea that human computers were recording their every word, and they had no idea what was coming. In the deepest parts of space, hidden in the shadows between stars, something massive was stirring. Thousands of ships built in secret over 2 centuries were slowly powering up their engines. Earth had been invited to join the galaxy 200 years ago. The invitation had arrived, but humans chose to wait. They chose to watch. They chose to prepare. Now, finally, they were ready to accept that invitation. But they weren't coming as guests. They were coming as judges. The Silent Watchers 200 years ago. A small silver probe arrived at Earth. It carried a message that would change human history forever. President Elena Rodriguez stood in the White House Situation Room, staring at the alien device on the table. The world's best scientists had spent months trying to understand it. Finally, they cracked the code. It's an invitation, Dr. James Park explained to the gathered world leaders, from something called the Galaxy Council. They want Earth to join them. Join them for what? Asked the British Prime Minister. To be part of galactic civilization, trade, diplomacy, shared knowledge, but Dr. Park hesitated. There's something strange about this message. It feels too simple, too easy. President Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. What do you recommend? We wait, we watch. We learn everything we can about them before we make ourselves known. That decision saved humanity. Now, 200 years later, Commander Sarah Chen walked through the corridors of Station Alpha 7, one of Earth's most secret facilities. The station was built inside a hollow asteroid, completely invisible to alien scanners. It was one of thousands of hidden human outposts scattered across the galaxy. Report, Chen said as she entered the main observation deck. Captain Lisa Wong turned from her monitoring station. Ma'am, we've intercepted 847 alien communications in the last hour. The usual stuff. Trade disputes, territorial arguments, and threats of war. Chen looked at the massive screens showing different parts of the galaxy. Each screen displayed real-time data from human spy networks. What about the Andromedan situation? Getting worse. The Reptilian Empire is moving their war fleet toward Andromedan space. The Council knows about it but won't act. They're being paid to look the other way. Chen clenched her fists. This was typical Galaxy Council behavior. For 200 years, humans had watched these aliens make the same mistakes over and over. Big empires bullied small ones. The Council took bribes and ignored crimes. Innocent species suffered while the powerful got richer. Show me the latest intelligence report, Chen ordered. A holographic display appeared in the air. It showed the galaxy divided into colored zones. Red zones were controlled by aggressive empires. Yellow zones were disputed territories. Green zones were supposedly peaceful, but even those had problems. The Vegan system fell yesterday, Captain Wong reported. The Council voted to let the insectoids take it. 3 billion civilians are now under their control. Any resistance? The local defense force tried to fight back. The insectoids wiped them out in 6 hours. No survivors. Chen closed her eyes. Another tragedy that could have been prevented. Another reason why Earth's plan was necessary. Over the past 2 centuries, humanity had built the largest intelligence network in galactic history. Human agents, disguised as traders and explorers, had infiltrated every major alien civilization. They spoke every alien language perfectly. They understood every alien culture. They had access to the deepest government secrets. Most importantly, they had recorded everything. Computer. Show me file designation Galaxy Crimes Database, Chen commanded. The holographic display changed to show an enormous list. Millions of entries scrolled past, each one documenting a crime committed by the Galaxy Council or its member species. Slavery operations in 12,000 star systems. Genocide of 847 species marked as acceptable losses. Resource theft from 50,000 primitive worlds. Corruption payments totaling 500 trillion galactic credits. War crimes committed by peacekeeping forces. The list went on and on. 200 years of evidence. 200 years of injustice. 200 years of waiting for the right moment to act. Ma'am, Captain Wong said quietly. Earth Command is asking for your final assessment. Are we ready? Chen walked to the main viewport and stared out into space. Somewhere out there, the Galaxy Council was meeting again, making more corrupt deals, hurting more innocent people. They thought they were safe because no one could challenge them. They were wrong. Captain, open a secure channel to all station commanders, Chen ordered. Channel open, ma'am. Chen's voice carried across the galaxy, reaching thousands of hidden human outposts. This is Commander Chen. For 200 years we have watched. We have learned. We have prepared. The Galaxy Council thinks Earth is dead or primitive. They think we don't exist. She paused, looking at the data streaming across her screens. Alien ships moving through space. Alien governments making plans. Alien criminals getting away with murder. Today, that changes. Send the activation codes to all fleet commanders. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity has been building. Across the galaxy, hidden in the shadows between stars, massive shapes began to stir. Ships longer than cities started powering up their engines. Weapon systems that had been dormant for decades came online. Shields designed with technology beyond alien understanding began to glow. Captain Wong stared at her instruments in amazement. "Ma'am, I'm reading energy signatures from over 10,000 vessels. They're all coming online simultaneously." Chen nodded. "The silent watchers are silent no more, Captain. Send a message to Admiral Harrison aboard the flagship. Tell him Operation Galaxy Storm is now active." "What should we tell the aliens when they detect our fleet?" Chen smiled coldly. "Tell them exactly what they told us 200 years ago. Tell them we got their invitation." She turned back to the viewport as the first human warships began moving through the darkness. After 2 centuries of watching injustice, humanity was finally ready to deliver justice. The Galaxy Council was about to learn what happened when you ignored Earth for 200 years. They were about to discover that the quiet species in the corner had been listening to every word, and they weren't happy with what they heard. The fleet awakens deep in the void between stars. Something impossible was happening. Captain Zara Katesh of the Reptilian Border Patrol was having a normal day. Her ship, the Venom Strike, cruised slowly through empty space near the edge of known galaxy. This was boring duty. Nothing ever happened out here. "Captain," called her sensor operator, "I'm getting some strange readings." "What kind of readings?" Katesh asked without looking up from her report. "Energy spikes. Lots of them, but they're coming from empty space." Now Katesh was interested. She walked over to the sensor station. "Show me." The holographic display lit up with dozens of red dots. Each dot represented a massive energy signature, but the space around them looked completely empty. "That's impossible," Katesh muttered. "Nothing's there." "Run a full scan." The scan results made her blood run cold. The energy readings were enormous, bigger than anything she had ever seen. And they were getting stronger. "Captain," the sensor operator's voice was shaking. "Something's happening." In the darkness of space, lights began to appear. Not the small lights of normal ships. These were massive beams of blue and white energy stretching for miles. One by one, huge shapes began to materialize. Captain Katesh stared in horror as the largest ships she had ever seen became visible. Each vessel was the size of a small moon. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange markings covered their sides, markings she had never seen before. "By the ancient gods," she whispered. "What are those things?" More ships appeared, thousands of them. Some were massive dreadnoughts bristling with weapons. Others were sleek cruisers that moved like hunting predators. Swarms of smaller fighter ships buzzed around the giants like angry insects. The sensor operator was frantically pressing buttons. "Captain, I can't identify these ships. They're not in any database. The design is completely unknown." Katesh grabbed her communicator. "This is Border Patrol Vessel Venom Strike to Central Command. We have a code black situation. Unknown fleet of massive size has appeared in Sector 7. Static answered her. Then a calm alien voice spoke. But it wasn't speaking reptilian. It was speaking in perfect galactic standard. "Reptilian Vessel Venom Strike. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are ordered to maintain your current position and make no aggressive moves." "Earth?" Katesh's eyes went wide. "That's impossible. Earth doesn't have a space fleet." "Captain Katesh," the human voice continued, somehow knowing her name. "Your government has committed 1,247 documented war crimes in the past 50 years. Your species has enslaved 36 different civilizations. Earth has been watching. Earth has been recording. Earth is no longer willing to stay silent." Katesh looked around her bridge in panic. Her crew was staring at the view screen in terror. The human ships had completely surrounded them. Weapons that defied understanding were pointed at their tiny patrol vessel. Meanwhile, similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. The proud insectoid Empress Vixra was in her throne room when her generals burst in. "Your Majesty, unknown fleet approaching our homeworld. They came out of nowhere." In the Crystal Coalition space, Admiral Teclon was reviewing trade reports when his entire fleet went dark. Every system shut down at once. Then a message appeared on every screen. "Earth sends greetings." The Galaxy Council's emergency meeting was chaos. Representatives from dozens of species were screaming into their communicators, trying to understand what was happening. "They're everywhere," shouted the avian delegate. "Thousands of ships just appeared around our colonies." "Same here," called the aquatic ambassador. "Our entire defense fleet can't even get their weapons to work." Elder Morthul slammed his fist on the council table. "Silence. Who are these attackers? What do they want?" Secretary Veldan was frantically checking his computer. "Sir, the ships are broadcasting identification codes. They're claiming to be from Earth." The entire council chamber went quiet. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then nervous laughter started. A few delegates chuckled. Soon half the council was laughing. "Earth," wheezed the blob-like ambassador. "The dead planet? The primitives who never answered our invitation? This must be some kind of joke," added the four-armed delegate. "Earth can't even build proper rockets." Their laughter stopped when every screen in the council chamber went black. Then a single image appeared. The blue and green planet called Earth, surrounded by more warships than anyone had ever seen. A human face appeared on the screen. It was Admiral Sarah Chen, broadcasting from the bridge of her flagship. Behind her, human crew members worked at stations filled with technology the aliens couldn't understand. "Members of the Galaxy Council," Admiral Chen said calmly. "My name is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your invitation to join galactic civilization 200 years ago." The aliens stared in shock. This was impossible. Earth was supposed to be primitive. Earth was supposed to be dead. "We apologize for the delay in responding," Chen continued. "But we wanted to observe your civilization before making contact. What we observed disappointed us." Elder Morthul found his voice. "This is impossible. Earth doesn't have the technology for space travel." Admiral Chen smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "Elder Morthul, leader of the Galaxy Council. Born on Kepler 7. Age 847 years. Personal wealth. 50 billion galactic credits, most obtained through illegal arms dealing." "Would you like me to continue reading your file?" Morthul's 6 eyes went wide. How did these humans know such details? "For 200 years, Chen continued, Earth has been watching the Galaxy Council. We have agents in every major government. We speak every language. We know every secret. And what we discovered is that the Galaxy Council is corrupt, criminal, and cruel." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Some delegates shouted denials. Others made threats. A few tried to leave. "I would not recommend trying to escape," Admiral Chen said calmly. "My fleet currently has every council member's homeworld surrounded. Your military forces have been neutralized. Your communication networks are under our control." On the view screen behind her, tactical displays showed human ships positioned around dozens of planets. The scope of the operation was breathtaking. "What do you want?" Elder Morthul demanded. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "Justice, Elder Morthul. 200 years of delayed justice." The screen went black, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Earth had arrived, and everything was about to change. The impossible arrival, the Galaxy Council's headquarters, was the most protected place in known space. Massive energy shields surrounded the station. Weapons platforms filled the surrounding area. The greatest military minds in the galaxy had designed its defenses. Those defenses were now failing. General Tormax of the Council Security Forces watched his control screens with growing horror. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. His defensive systems were shutting down one by one. "What's happening?" he barked at his technicians. "Sir, the primary shields are at 60% and falling. The weapon platforms aren't responding. Our communication arrays are being jammed." "That's impossible. These defenses have never failed. Not once in 500 years. Outside the station, Earth's fleet moved into perfect formation. The human ships didn't rush or attack. They simply positioned themselves around the Council headquarters, like pieces on a chessboard. It was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Terror's Justice. Around her, human officers worked quietly at their stations. No one was shouting or panicking. Everything was going according to plan. "Admiral," reported Commander Martinez, "all defensive systems are now under our control. The aliens can't fire a single shot without our permission." "Good. What about their escape routes?" "Blocked. Every ship that tries to leave gets turned around and sent back. The aliens are completely trapped." Chen nodded. "Perfect. Open a channel to the council chamber." Inside the Galaxy Council's main hall, the emergency meeting had turned into chaos. Representatives from hundreds of species were arguing, shouting, and demanding answers. Some tried to use their personal communicators to call for help. Nothing worked. Elder Morthul banged his gavel repeatedly. "Order! We must have order!" Nobody was listening. The reptilian delegate was screaming about honor. The insectoid queen was clicking her mandibles angrily. The Crystal Coalition ambassador was flashing different colors in panic. Suddenly all the lights went out. In the darkness, a single spotlight appeared. It illuminated a figure walking calmly into the chamber. The figure wore a simple military uniform with strange markings. As the person stepped into the light, the aliens saw something they had never expected to see. A human. Admiral Sarah Chen walked to the center of the council floor. Her footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. Every alien eye was fixed on her. She looked exactly like the humans in their old database files. 2 arms, 2 legs, brown hair, brown eyes. But there was something in her expression that made even the fiercest warriors uncomfortable. She looked like someone who had been waiting a very long time for this moment. "Honorable members of the Galaxy Council," Chen said clearly. Her voice carried perfectly through the chamber without amplification. "My name is Admiral Sarah Chen, representing the planet Earth and the Human Federation." Elder Morthul found his voice. "This is outrageous. You cannot simply invade council space. We have laws. We have treaties." Chen smiled coldly. "Yes, you do have laws. Very interesting laws. Unfortunately, you don't follow them." She gestured, and holographic displays appeared around the chamber. Each display showed evidence of council crimes. Videos of slave markets, records of bribery payments, documents proving genocide cover-ups. "For 200 years, Chen continued, Earth has been collecting evidence of Galaxy Council corruption. We have 847 million documented crimes. We have recordings of every illegal deal. We know where every stolen credit is hidden." The alien delegates stared at the evidence in shock. Some tried to deny what they were seeing. Others looked for escape routes that no longer existed. "What do you want?" Elder Morthul demanded. "Money, territory, resources? We want justice," Chen replied simply. She walked slowly around the chamber, looking at each delegate. The Reptilian Empire, 50,000 planets enslaved, 12 billion civilians murdered. The Insectoid Collective, 30 species completely wiped out for their resources. The Crystal Coalition, 500 years of illegal weapons trading. Each accusation hit like a physical blow. The named species tried to protest, but the evidence was overwhelming. "You all received the same invitation we did," Chen continued. "You were all asked to join a peaceful galactic civilization. Instead, you created a criminal organization that preys on the weak and protects the strong." The avian delegate spread his wings angrily. "You cannot judge us. You're just one primitive species. We are thousands." Chen stopped walking and looked directly at him. "Primitive? Let me show you something." The holographic displays changed to show space around the council station. Hundreds of alien warships were visible, trying to reach the headquarters, but they were all frozen in place, unable to move. "Your rescue fleets can't reach you," Chen explained. "Their engines don't work. Their weapons don't work. Their communications don't work. Human technology is jamming everything." She gestured again, and the display zoomed out. The aliens gasped as they saw the true size of Earth's fleet. Thousands of human ships filled the space around dozens of star systems. While you spent 200 years fighting each other, Earth spent 200 years preparing. We built ships you cannot detect. We developed weapons you cannot stop. We learned every weakness of every species in this galaxy." Elder Morthul's voice was shaking now. What do you intend to do with us?" Admiral Chen looked around the chamber one more time. Every alien was staring at her, waiting for her answer. The most powerful beings in the galaxy were afraid of one human woman. The Galaxy Council has ruled for 500 years, she said quietly. Your rule is over. You have 24 hours to surrender your authority and submit to trial for your crimes. And if we refuse? The reptilian delegate hissed. Chen's expression didn't change. Then you will discover why Earth has been silent for 200 years. We weren't hiding because we were weak. We were preparing because we knew this day would come. She turned and began walking toward the chamber exit. 24 hours, members of the council. Choose wisely. As she reached the door, Elder Morthul called out desperately, You cannot replace us. The galaxy needs leadership. Without the council, there will be chaos. Admiral Chen paused at the doorway. Without turning around, she spoke her final words to the Galaxy Council. The galaxy had chaos under your leadership. Murder, slavery, genocide, and corruption. You call that order? She looked back over her shoulder. Earth is about to show you what real order looks like. The lights went out again. When they came back on, Admiral Chen was gone. Outside the station, the human fleet waited patiently. 24 hours to decide the fate of the galaxy. The countdown had begun. The Judgment Day 23 hours had passed. The Galaxy Council chamber looked like a war zone. Elder Morthul's once perfect robes were torn and dirty. His 6 eyes were bloodshot from no sleep. Around him, alien delegates argued in desperate voices. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to surrender. Most just wanted to run away. But there was nowhere to run. We have to resist, roared General Caxthor of the warrior clans. No single species can defeat the combined might of the galaxy. You fool, screeched Queen Vixra. Did you see their fleet? Did you see what they did to our defenses? We cannot fight them. The Crystal Coalition ambassador flickered between angry red and fearful blue. Maybe we can negotiate. Offer them half the galaxy. Surely they'll accept a compromise. Elder Morthul laughed bitterly. You still don't understand. They don't want territory. They don't want resources. They want to destroy everything we've built. Secretary Veldan rushed into the chamber. His blue skin was pale with fear. Elder Morthul, we have 30 minutes left. The human ships are moving into final position. Outside the station, Admiral Chen watched the countdown timer on her command screen. Behind her, Commander Martinez monitored communications from across the galaxy. Admiral, Martinez reported, we're intercepting massive chatter from council member homeworlds. Some species are trying to mobilize their fleets. Others are evacuating their leadership. Let them try, Chen replied calmly. How many worlds have attempted to launch attacks? 17 star systems, ma'am. All their ships have been disabled. No casualties on our side, Chen nodded. For 200 years, humanity had studied every alien technology, every weapon, every defense, every weakness. The aliens were fighting with tools humans had already defeated in simulations thousands of times. Admiral, called Lieutenant Park from the communication station. Incoming transmission from the council chamber. Put it through. Elder Morthul's image appeared on the main screen. He looked desperate. Admiral Chen, we request more time to consider your demands. 24 hours is not enough to reorganize galactic civilization. Chen's expression didn't change. Elder Morthul, your species has had 500 years to organize galactic civilization. You chose corruption and violence. Time is up. Please. We can change. We can reform the council. Give us a chance to make things right. You had your chance. You chose to ignore it. Chen gestured to cut the transmission. Back in the council chamber, panic was spreading. Some delegates were trying to contact their homeworlds. Others were writing desperate messages to their families. A few were praying to their various gods. Elder Morthul stood up slowly. Attention! Everyone, listen to me! The chamber fell silent. We have 10 minutes left, he said heavily. I've led this council for 200 years. I have seen us make mistakes, but I still believe galactic civilization is worth preserving. He looked around at all the alien faces. I propose we surrender. We face trial. We accept whatever punishment these humans decide. General Caxthor jumped to his feet. Never. I would rather die fighting than kneel to primitives. Then you'll die alone, Elder Morthul replied sadly, because I'm going to save what I can of our people. With 5 minutes left, the council took its final vote. 847 species voted to surrender. 23 species voted to fight. The general and his supporters stormed out of the chamber. Admiral Chen received the surrender message with exactly 3 minutes to spare. Interesting, she murmured. Most of them chose wisely. What about the ones who refused? Commander Martinez asked. Chen looked at the tactical display. The rebellious species were trying to mass their fleets near the Vega system. It was a strong defensive position. Under normal circumstances, it would be nearly impossible to attack. Show them why Earth waited 200 years to reveal itself, Chen ordered. In the Vega system, General Caxthor commanded a fleet of 10,000 warships. His allies had brought their strongest vessels. Together, they represented the greatest military force the galaxy had ever assembled. Let the humans come, Caxthor growled. We'll show them what real warriors can do. His sensor operator looked up nervously. General, I'm detecting incoming ships, but I can only see 3 vessels. 3? Caxthor laughed. They send 3 ships against 10,000? These humans are either very brave or very stupid. The 3 human ships approached slowly. They were different from the rest of Earth's fleet. These vessels were massive beyond belief. Each one was larger than some moons. Strange energy surrounded them like living fire. Open fire, Caxthor commanded. Destroy them. 10,000 alien ships fired at once. The space around the human vessels filled with energy beams, missiles, and plasma bolts. It was the most concentrated firepower anyone had ever seen. When the light faded, the 3 human ships were completely undamaged. Impossible, Caxthor whispered. One of the human ships fired a single shot, not at the alien fleet, at an empty moon near the edge of the system. The moon simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. One moment it existed, the next moment there was only empty space. Caxthor stared at his screens in horror. By the ancient gods, what kind of weapon can destroy a moon with one shot? His communication system activated. Admiral Chen's voice filled his bridge. General Caxthor, you have 10 seconds to surrender your fleet, or you can join that moon. The general looked at his 10,000 ships, the most powerful fleet in galactic history, against 3 human vessels that could erase moons from existence. I surrender, he whispered. Back at the council headquarters, Admiral Chen addressed the assembled alien delegates. Most of them had chains around their wrists, energy restraints that prevented escape. Members of the former Galaxy Council, she began, you have been found guilty of crimes against galactic civilization. However, Earth believes in justice, not revenge. She gestured, and holographic displays showed trials taking place across the galaxy. Each of you will face individual judgment based on your specific crimes. Some will face imprisonment, others will face rehabilitation. A few may even earn redemption. Elder Morthal spoke up weakly. What happens to our people? Our civilizations? Your civilizations will continue, Chen replied. Under new leadership, leaders chosen by their people, not imposed by force. She paused and looked around the chamber. For 500 years, the Galaxy Council ruled through fear and corruption. Starting today, the galaxy will be governed by justice and cooperation. And Earth? Asked Queen Vixera. Will you rule us now? Admiral Chen smiled for the first time since arriving. Earth has no desire to rule anyone. We will help establish fair governments and then return to our own space. We never wanted to be conquerors. We just wanted the killing to stop. As the former council members were led away to face their trials, Chen stood alone in the empty chamber. Commander Martinez approached her. Admiral, all resistance has ended. The galaxy is secure. What are your orders? Chen looked out at the stars through the chamber's great window. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were learning they were free from oppression for the first time in centuries. Begin Phase 2, Commander. It's time to build something better. But in the depths of space, ancient sensors were awakening. Something old and terrible had noticed the change in galactic power. Earth's real test was about to begin. The new order 6 months had passed since the fall of the Galaxy Council. The galaxy was changing in ways no one had imagined possible. On the planet Kepler Prime, former slave worker Gental looked up at the sky with tears in her eyes. For the first time in 50 years, she was free. The reptilian overseers were gone. The chains were broken. Human peacekeeping ships orbited overhead, making sure no one could enslave her people again. Mama, her young daughter asked, are the good humans really going to stay and protect us? Gental smiled and hugged her child. Yes, little one. The humans keep their promises. Similar scenes played out across thousands of worlds. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were learning what freedom meant. Planets stripped of resources were receiving aid and technology to rebuild. For the first time in galactic history, the strong were protecting the weak instead of exploiting them. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the new Galactic Justice Center, watching reports stream in from across known space. The building had once been the Galaxy Council's headquarters. Now it housed courts, aid organizations, and peacekeeping forces. "Admiral," reported Commander Martinez, "the Andromedan trials concluded today. 847 former council members have been sentenced. Most received prison terms. 12 will face rehabilitation. 3 were found innocent of major crimes." Chen nodded approvingly. "What about the reconstruction efforts?" "Ahead of schedule. The liberated worlds are embracing democratic governments. Trade is flowing freely for the first time in centuries. Crime rates are dropping everywhere our peacekeepers are stationed." It seemed too good to be true, and Chen had learned to be suspicious when things seemed perfect. "Any problems?" she asked. Martinez hesitated. "Well, there have been some unusual reports. Deep space monitoring stations are detecting strange energy signatures. Very faint but getting stronger. What kind of energy? Unknown. The signatures don't match any known technology. Not human, not alien, not anything in our databases." Chen frowned. During the war against the Galaxy Council, Earth's forces had captured every piece of alien technology. They had studied every weapon, every ship, every piece of equipment. There should be no unknown energy signatures. Where are these readings coming from? The Galactic Core region, the area where no one goes. Chen knew why no one went to the Galactic Core. Ancient legends spoke of dangers there. Old alien stories told of something terrible sleeping in the center of the galaxy. Most species considered it superstition. Chen was beginning to think the legends might be true. Meanwhile, in the deepest parts of space, something vast was stirring. The awakening chamber had been dark for 10,000 years. Now slowly lights began to glow. Ancient machinery hummed to life. Massive forms shifted in crystalline sleep pods. One pod opened with a sound like thunder. The being inside was tall, elegant, and terrifying. Its skin was pale silver. Its eyes burned with inner fire. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of eons. How long? It asked the chamber's artificial intelligence. 10,347 years. "First one, Zephyron," the AI replied. "Show me the galaxy." Holographic displays filled the chamber. Zephyron studied the star maps with growing anger. Everything was wrong. The galaxy he had left behind was gone. "What happened to the Council of Order?" he demanded. "Destroyed 6 months ago by a species called humans." "Humans?" Zephyron's eyes blazed brighter. "Show me these humans." Images of Earth's fleet appeared. Zephyron watched the recordings of the Galaxy Council's fall. He saw human technology defeating weapons his people had designed. He saw human ships that should not exist. "Impossible," he whispered. "No young species should possess such power." The AI continued its report. "The humans have established new governments across 50,000 star systems. They claim to seek peace and justice." Zephyron laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. "Peace? Justice? We tried that once. It failed. That's why we created the council system. That's why we made the strong rule the weak." He stepped out of his pod and walked to the chamber's great window. Outside, thousands of similar pods were beginning to open. The first ones were awakening after their long sleep. "The children have been playing with toys they don't understand," Zephyron said coldly. "Time to remind them who their elders are." Back on the Justice Center, Chen was studying the energy readings when alarms began blaring throughout the station. "Admiral," shouted Lieutenant Park. "Massive energy spike from the Galactic Core. Something big is moving." The main display lit up with sensor data. A fleet was emerging from the Galactic Core. But these ships were like nothing anyone had ever seen. They were enormous. Each vessel was the size of a small planet. Their hulls seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with inner light. "How many ships?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the growing dread. "Sensors are having trouble getting accurate readings. The energy interference is too strong. But preliminary scans show at least 1,000 vessels." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Earth's entire fleet numbered 10,000 ships. These newcomers had 1/10 that number, but each of their ships was 100 times larger.